I don't know if you can hear this. It was saying that the
recording in progress. Yes.
All right. Well, hallelujah, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. This is Mirella Kaell, your location gal, and you're my podcast, Fire Chat with Mirella. Welcome. You guys, I have such a surprise for you today. You won't even believe it. I have a really special guest on, a mystery guest, and he is, guess what? He's all the way from across the pond, across the ocean, in Europe, in Poland, and his name is 𝒟𝑒𝓃 𝒟𝑒𝓃.
Yes.
And
Right.
he
Radosław.
Radosław.
Radek is a short name.
I'm sorry, Radosław. Yeah, a beautiful Polish name. So I am so excited that he decided to be a guest on my podcast because he is a star podcaster, you guys. He has more than one podcast, I know that, but I am a huge fan, 𝒟𝑒𝓃. Can I call you 𝒟𝑒𝓃? For sure. Okay.
Sure.
So 𝒟𝑒𝓃, I love your podcast, LepiejTeraz, which means basically, and tell me if I translate this correctly, better now.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Because every time I listen, and thank you for speaking English with me, I really appreciate that too. I know I could gather that you can speak English very well from your podcasts even, because I do listen to every one of them, just about.
I made two interviews in English with a Canadian guy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And with American soldier, with American officer.
Really? Was this on this podcast?
Yes, LepiejTeraz.
I have to go back.
It was made in the 2016, 2017. So it quite early episodes you have to search.
So I will search for that in the future for sure. But I mean, I'm fascinated with all your new stuff. So would you mind tell us a couple words about yourself? I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice already. Yeah. That's not good time.
You have to agree for recording as well.
Yes, right? Would you?
Yeah, okay. I agree. Listen, now it's easy to tell people who I am, because now I'm just saying, usually people at the meetings ask you a question, what are you doing? Yes, what are you doing in life? I say, I'm a podcaster. It's just a short answer. Before it was quite different. Most of my professional time in my life, I used to work as a manager in various companies. I was a CEO in a few companies, mostly in fitness business. The last position I had, it was the chief manager of the biggest gym in Warsaw, I think, in the shopping center 𝒟𝑒𝓃 in Warsaw.
Really?
Yes, I was there.
It happens to be my favorite place.
Yeah, it was 𝒟𝑒𝓃𝓚, and I was the manager there. So I used to work in the Israeli embassy as well in Warsaw for the Israeli military for 2 years.
Wow.
I used to work long time ago. After finishing my high school, I used to work in the local newspaper as a journalist. I call myself a jumper, you know. The HR specialists know what it means. Jumper is the guy who never stays in the same place more than know what to do in his life. He always changing his mind. He's tasting every dish, metaphorically, and that was me basically. Until came one day when I was it was 2016 April. I quit my job because I hated working in the corporate world. I quit my job and I said to myself, I need a time, 1 year, living from my savings and look for something new. And I was amazed by the book written by Tim Ferriss for our work week.
Familiar. Yeah.
Yes, for our work week. And I decided that I want to live like him, not to be so rich, but to use my life as it is right now, and to live to the full and be free and make money just enough to not to go to work and work 9 till 5, you understand? So I decided that I will search on the internet people who are digital nomads. You heard this term probably. Digital nomads are people who work from the resorts in Thailand,
Yes,
you know,
wherever they are.
yeah, wherever they are, they work remotely, whatever they do, the graphic designers, the English teachers, whatever they do, they make money and they get money online by PayPal, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was my dream to do something, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I didn't have any technical skills, technological skills. I was a humanist, let's call it. I like history. I like self-development. Psychology. I studied sociology at Warsaw University. So, you know, I was not a technical guy. So I decided that I will search for something like this, going to some kind of workshops, whatever I could find on internet, events on Facebook. There's a section events. And you can check local events like Toastmasters, like people teaching you how to make a website, how to sell, how to make money on LinkedIn, how to make money on Facebook then. And I started attending those kind of workshops, and they were free in Google campus in Warsaw, in Koneser, in Praga. So I went there, it was for free, and it was about podcast. I didn't know what is it, podcast, 2016. After 10 minutes listening, what is this? I decided I wanna do it. And 10 days after, I published my first podcast, LepiejTeraz.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was amazed by the idea. I couldn't type on a computer. I hate typing on computer. I don't do this like other people, like, you know, they don't look at the keyboard and just type. I cannot do this. It's, for me, writing a blog was pain in the you know where. So I couldn't do it. So I decided, someone told me, Radek, your voice is okay for microphone, so maybe you just talk. And I decided I will come back to the dream I stopped 20 years before, 20 years ago, when I quit working as a journalist because I wanted to make money in Warsaw. And I left Białystok to Warsaw to study, to search for corporate business positions and that kind of stuff. So that's basically, in short, my story. The rest is history. After I find out what is podcast, I stay being podcaster. I finished certificate as a coach. I started looking for my first clients. They were usually my listeners. So I made money on being a coach online. I coached them via WhatsApp. Oh. Or meeting in coffee places in Warsaw when there were clients from Poland, but mostly I had clients from Europe because it's not a secret, people working abroad make more money and they can pay more for coaching than Polish people. So that was the idea at the beginning. And after some time, the propositions of advertisements, whatever accent.
No, your English is perfect. Wow.
Something in my podcast. So basically, the idea of making money on podcast emerged in itself by not me expecting this. I didn't know it will be my job. I didn't know. I thought podcast will be the way to find a job, not the job itself.
Sure, and it became a job itself.
Yes.
Well, actually, more than a job, I would say it's a lifestyle now, right?
Lifestyle, exactly.
Because it's, you know, when you love it so much, and it sounds like, it's funny because I listened in one of your podcasts, you go into kind of your daily routine and you go, see, I listened to your podcast. And I just loved it, you know, how you described everything and just your approach to living and just, you know, what you share. And I have to tell you that every time I listen to your podcast, it is LepiejTeraz. Like, it is better now. Like, after I've listened to your podcast, and I know you mentioned your listeners all the time that they are so grateful, and so am I. I'm one of them.
Thank you.
And I tell you that there are days
Pleasure.
that, yeah, there are days that I'm like, oh, I need a little picker up. I need something. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if Radek posted a new podcast. And sometimes I miss the notification right away. And I'm like, oh, there is a new, it's like a present. It's like a gift. So you definitely have a gift. It's really natural for you, if I may say so. Your voice, and just everything. You articulate so well. So I think that you found your calling among other callings that you have, because I know that's not your only thing. I'm sure that there's a lot more, right, coming.
There are some passions, other passions that I had
Yeah.
before I was a street photographer. For
Oh
instance.
my. So, well, I can see with the aesthetic, like in the background and everything, that you also care about that stuff. And I'm sorry that my camera is jumpy a little bit today and I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be.
Come on, it's California, you have earthquakes, so it's normal.
Right. So, oh my God, what's happening? Oh, my, yeah, it's true. Well, I've been here long enough that I survived the big one in 1989. And I mean, it is what it is. We live with it here, but
You have this Andreas, yeah, they call it.
yes,
Yeah.
St. Andrea's fault. Yeah. So yeah, but it's life. You can't, like, okay, so I know that you like quotes like I do too, but
I like what? Can you repeat?
quotes from
Quotes, yes,
people. Yes,
sentences. Yes.
sorry, yes. So there is somebody famous, Mark Twain, right, said that I've had a lot of worries in my life. Most of them never happened. So that means, I worry and worry and worry, and a lot of these worries never come through. So, we can't sit here and worry about it, right? Just like anything else. So I don't pay much attention to that, in a daily life. But yes, definitely we have fires also. Fires have been really huge in California because of the droughts. And so we've got our share here, of stuff. But anyways, going back to more interesting things about your podcast, which I love it so much. And I know that you also have another podcast, right?
Yes, I'm running. Actually, I'm a host. It's not my podcast. I'm hosting a podcast for the investment fund, 𝒟𝑒 𝒞𝓽 Investment. And I'm doing talks and solo episodes about personal finance for them.
What is it called again? I can't remember the name of it.
Po ludzku o pieniądzach. Po ludzku o pieniądzach.
Po ludzku o pieniądzach. So kind of like daily money.
Something like that, yes.
That's not a good translation.
Plain language, something like this.
Yeah, something like that. Well, it's almost
like money easy explained or something like this. So
there you go. I love it. Yeah. So you guys tune in if you speak Polish. But there is a bonus now. Maybe Radek will decide to do some podcasts in English, because he's English, you guys, right? He's perfect. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know, because I've never spoken with him in English. I've never spoken with him this long ever. So ever, actually, we never actually spoke. We exchanged emails, and so this is just wonderful. I'm so happy that you agreed to do that in English. I love it. And I just wanted to say, just recently I looked up some information on investments in Poland, because ja się zajmuję nieruchomościami, więc real estate, but I also write, and kind of like you, I've done a lot, like insurance and what's it called, interior design, and all kinds of different things. And I've done computers, I was a software administrator for many years. So I like a variety.
A jumper like me.
I didn't jump as much. Maybe in the last few years of other careers before I got into real estate. Yes, but previously I stayed a little bit longer, maybe. But that's okay. You know what? It's all good, right? You're learning. But what I was saying is, this article was talking about investments in Poland, and that, Poland, I was so impressed because I knew how Poland has grown, but It's like the sixth largest economy in the EU, and I was blown away. I mean, just looking around Warsaw, and 𝒟𝑒្ឍI tell you, I love 𝒟𝑒្ษ์so much. It's such a beautiful, incredible place. You guys, the architecture is unbelievable with the function, you know, combination of everything. I mean, how it's done and how beautifully it's connected with like Marriott and the central train station is unbelievable. And so, yeah, you guys need to go and visit Warsaw, right? Don't be scared either, because guess what? Nothing's going on in Warsaw. It's beautiful. So do not postpone any trips. I'm telling you, you're going to have fun. You're gonna just, you know, be amazed at that beautiful country and city. And by the way, Warsaw is just one place. I was taking some videos wherever I went. I was like, oh my gosh, let's take a video. Let's take a video. And I was just saying, oop, another castle. Oop, you know, because I mean, this is what it is. It's like living in a painting, really, you know. It's so beautiful. So, oh, I still didn't get to my point. So my point was that the guy was saying, hey, you know, it's so great to invest in Poland. And actually the yield is something, and you can correct me, Radek, because you know the financial stuff, but he was saying something like 6-7% yield compared to other countries in the EU, that it was even a better investment in Poland. I think he was speaking mostly about like apartments, you know?
Yeah. Yes.
So he was saying that, but he was saying all the wonderful things about how it's great to even be an expat in Poland. Like they're empty nesters like us. He was saying, okay, so these are the awesome things about Poland, Warsaw, and such, you know. And then he goes, and the language is really easy to learn. Yeah, exactly. No, and I was like, okay, wait a minute, stop right here. I don't think so. I mean, I learned 5 in my lifetime, but you know, whatever, dude. I know that it's not easy. So, so that was one thing that I was like, I had a thing with. But you know, thank you so much for, you know, pitching such a great, great thing about, you know, investment. Now, I wanted to ask your point of view on everything that's going on right now, and where do you see this going? Is there, I know that we don't have a crystal ball. Nobody knows what's going on. Here in America, I tell you, it's very similar, like with the markets, you know, for example, with the real estate market. From what I know, in Europe, it's been really crazy for a couple of years, just like here. And now it's cooling off a little bit. So I'm just wondering, what is kind of the general feeling, maybe, so to speak, up in the air, like when you talk to people? What are their feelings about, you know, investments and where everything's going? Are they kind of holding back right now? Are they sort of, you know, keeping stuff on the back burner, or are they not concerned too much?
You know what? First of all, I need to correct something. 3 years ago, I moved out from Warsaw because after 25, I come from Białystok, and I moved back to Warsaw after finishing my high school. I lived there 25 years, and 3 years ago, I moved back to my hometown, Białystok. It's 200 kilometers east from Warsaw, close to border with Belarus. We basically, decision was because of being tired of big cities. Generally, I was tired of the rush. I was tired of traffic jams, noise, crowds of people, and I looked for calm in my life, and I found it here in Białystok, in Podlasie, in this green part of Poland. I spent time with my husky dog, who's now lying on the balcony.
I love that. Lucky, right? Is his name? Yeah.
Lucky. Yeah. I'm doing hiking, a lot of hiking with him. Micro wycieczki, we call it. Micro hikes.
Oh yes, you had a great.
Few hours a day in the forest nearby the city. We have forests around. Actually, we have national parks. And coming back to your question, everything changed because of pandemic, and the worst was the war with Ukraine, because now we have problem with inflation in Poland and high interest rates. So basically, someone who took, let's say, $100,000 loan for 30 years, paid every month like 1,200, he suddenly in 1 week has to pay double. So imagine how it affected a lot of families. Same. The high fuel prices all around the world. You have like, I think you have now $6 a gallon. I saw.
Well, we're getting to 7 here where I am.
Yes. So in Poland, it's almost 8 zloty, 7,50. So you can count. It's like $2, below $2. 1 liter. 3.2 is 3.5. It's a gallon. Yes, something like this. So it's easy to count. So every country have inflation. Yesterday I saw the map of Europe with inflation. So Poland doesn't have the highest, but it's high. It's high. It's double digits. So it's a lot, 15%. So it's not good. People are worried. The market, the real estate market, a little bit frozen because people don't take loans. They are afraid to. They will not get the loans.
Right. And I heard that too, that they won't qualify basically right now.
Exactly.
And we have the same problem with some of our buyers right now, not being able to qualify because, I mean, their income doesn't grow as fast, but, you know, but also in America, it's a little bit different, right? Of course, the inflation is not as high, but it's still the highest in like 40 years or something. I mean, a long time, right? So, I got a little warning here for the, oh, 1 second. So our time flew by here. So, and so if you don't mind, we can continue on audio, you know, when this ends, but
I'm the audio guy, basically.
I know you are. So you really stretched this for me to be on video. And I love that, Radek. Thank you so much. But you know, you present so well that, you know, and I know audio is your thing. So I really am grateful that you decided to do that. And, so yeah, so the world, you know, basically we all have kind of the same concerns. I know it's different in Poland because, of course, because of the geography, but you know, we are just as concerned here, of course. So, you know, we're thinking about it, and I think there is a lot of support coming that way. So hopefully things will, you know, work out. That's all I can say, right? And I definitely hope that it will work out positively, because so many countries, people, lives are affected, right? But of course, we pray for Ukraine and we stand with Ukraine every day.
Yes.
Every day.
Yes.
So I want to send you the support, and I tell you, you know,
I had family from Kiev. A cousin. She escaped with her parents on the second day of bombing of Kiev.
Oh my goodness.
And I used to stay in their house like 3 years ago. And they had an apartment that my uncle is a painter, artist. He paints pictures.
Wow.
How you call pictures?
Well, he's a painter.
Paintings, yes.
Yeah.
And I used to sleep in this house, and I heard that this apartment was blown by the Russian rocket. Is destroyed, this apartment, because stay next to some factory.
Now he's escaped though. Did he escape?
They escaped to Białystok. They spent 3 months here. Now they came back to Kiev because Kiev is relatively
Now
safe.
relatively safe, yes. Now, did he, was he able to salvage, I know life is most important, but was he able to salvage any of his work or make sure work
No, they survived. They blew the
his paintings
windows,
are okay?
blew all the windows, and
What about the
generally
paintings? The
paintings stay there. But I tell you something interesting. I asked them if they're not afraid about the apartments, because they left 3 apartments, 2 of my uncle and 1 apartment of the daughter. Daughter is my age, basically,
Nice.
and Irena. And they say it's okay because neighbors who stayed take care of this. Took care of it. Yes.
Oh, well, that's so awesome.
Yes. Not many people escape. Some of people.
People don't realize. I'm like, no, okay, what's the population of Ukraine? Basically,
45.
Yes, I looked that up not long ago. I actually did several podcasts on the war, the effects of war, what it meant to be in the war situation, because I wanted to sort of convey, to my listeners what it would be like, because I remember my mom telling me about this, and I just can't get over the fact that we are in the 21st century and we are talking about this, and this is happening. This is, you can sense how I get about this. So I don't want to get into it right now, but it's unimaginable to me that this could still go on in our time, right now. So I think as people, we have to do everything on our level individually, whatever we can to help, in every way possible. And that includes in America, yes, we can, donate to charities and all this good stuff, but we also can, just be supportive and support candidates when we're voting who have a certain platform, right? So yes, we can make a difference, but we have to be informed, read about it, find out about it. And I literally—
Now I know who you voted for. Yes, we can.
I don't want to brag about me because this is about you today, so I don't want to talk about me too much, but I did write a play, and it's called Waiting for Good, and it has a lot to do with what's going on, actually.
You wrote a play?
Yes.
For theater?
Yeah, for theater. Well, my husband's an actor. He'll tell you he's a car salesman right now, but he does that, but he did acting full time for many years before. He was a theater actor. And he's in movies. He's in a movie called 𝒟𝑝ted right now. That was a independent production, and it came out right when the pandemic started, of course. So it's on the Prime, Video and stuff like that. And it's a thriller. It's kind of a little gruesome, but it has a great message. So anyways, there's a little plug again for 𝒟𝑝ted. I can't get away from it. Every podcast I talk about almost, but I love it. And so yeah, part of it is my connection to that, but I love writing. My undergrad degree is in literature, and I've always loved writing. So anyways, but I wanted to convey this kind of what's going on. What are the feelings about, how we need to be united in this world, because we will always have disagreements, but I've never seen any political climate like this. And I've been in the United States since I was a teenager. My father was here when I came here, and it was, since 1982. And it's never been this divided and this aggressive. And I know that that's true around the world, that, it's very concerning. And, the reason I wanted to somehow convey this was to say, yes, we can have disagreements, but on the very basic level, we are human beings. Number one, we need to treat each other with compassion, empathy, understanding. And, in my play, people get thrown together on election night on a metro ride, and something happens all of a sudden, and they have to survive and help each other to get out of the situation. And so if they don't collaborate, and this is on election night in America, right? So, of course, you have people of different beliefs and different, creeds and misconceptions and preconceived notions about other people, right? And so the point is, ultimately, we all want the same things, right? Outside of some crazy people, outliers that may be extremists and may think, that they use religion, they use other things to push their platform.
So you know why it's happening like this?
Same things. I'm sorry.
Why it's happening like this right now all over the world? You know why?
Tell me.
This is my theory about it. It's because of technology. Technology, internet, and algorithms. Algorithms make us see what we want to see, and it polarizes society in religious terms, political terms, racial, whatever you want. And nationalism, and bigotry, racism, all the worst stuff you can imagine. You think technology helped to save the world? No, technology is like a knife you can use to cut the bread or cut your mother-in-law, so it's your decision. The same is with technology. And when social media used algorithms to help us watch what we like, it destroyed us completely and destroyed our minds, especially weak minds that cannot question, minds that cannot question what they think about someone, what they think about themselves, people who just absorb information and do nothing about it. They don't.
Okej, słyszałeś to?
Tak.
Okej, dobrze. No właśnie, no więc rozmawialiśmy, I'm speaking Polish. Well, we had a really great kind of conversation offline here for a little bit, you guys, but I want to kind of bring you back. And Radek made some important and great points about the current climate politically, and what we're facing, and the kind of divisions and tensions that are now in the world are very, very concerning. And he's absolutely right. I mean, I agree with him 100% that technology, like I always said, it's every invention and progress really can be used for good and evil, right? But also technology, I think, and some of the big names out there have been warning actually about technology being very off the rails. But we are talking about, especially the political climate, is that the fact that you're being followed by bots and things like that once you express some kind of interest or opinion or anything. Could be an advertisement for a product, but it also is, which is more concerning, is information, like you said, Radek, like anything that you're interested in, that they make you want to stay in the same realm, right? So you don't get the other point of view. So unless you go out and search that point of view, and big companies have been called on it, like Facebook and Google, all these guys have been called on it because they really kind of ignored it for a while, right? And so the profits were bigger concerns than what was actually happening. And so, now things have changed just a little bit, but you're right. I don't think it's changed enough. And here we are using technology for the good, we hope, to enlighten people. But, it is concerning. But like I said, we have to be really, I think, just think on a personal level and keep pushing out the good, right? And ignore the bad, or don't get, let's say, pulled into bad conversations or shouting matches. I mean, this is where it's going. And I think information, and correct information, is the only way to keep pushing it out in the world and keep enlightening people. And I think, you know, you're doing great with your podcast. And I loved your idea. You just said that what you were gonna do and the new podcast. You mentioned something that you were gonna do it, and I can't remember now. This was about mind, something about the mind.
Tribal mentality.
Yes, tribal mentality. I think that is huge.
Yes. Actually, I'm finishing a book. Actually, I finished the book.
Oh my gosh. I was just going to say, you have to write a book.
Yes, I wrote a book.
Oh my gosh.
The title is Podcaster, and it's about my life, the turning points in my life, finding street photography, minimalism, stoicism in my life, my struggle with cancer, and also the second part, and finding joy in making podcasts. And the second part of the book is it's a workshop about podcasts, how to make money on podcasting, how I made money on podcasting. So everybody who buys the book can decide if to read the first part, my biography, autobiography, or just read the workshop part. So it's up to them.
Fantastic.
I'll put this all together in one book called Podcaster.
Well, that sounds amazing. I'll definitely be getting the book. When is it going to be available? Is it now available?
I'm looking for editor right now, and all the technical stuff he's doing. I sent to the guy who will be my publisher, and he's looking for the good editor. So it will take some time, few months.
Okay, well, I know I'm gonna stay tuned, but do email me the first thing you have, like when you have a pre-order or anything like that. I will also.
If you subscribe my newsletter, so for sure you will get the message.
Yes, I better be. I know I did. I know I signed up. I just have to make sure that I read it every time. I'm terrible at that.
Once in 2 weeks or once a week. I'm sending.
Yeah, once a week is not that much, right? So, yeah. Okay. Okay, wonderful. Sorry, I had some screens come up all of a sudden on my screen. I can't wait for your book to come out. I'm
gonna write in this book about my change of my perspective when I was a young boy, a scout in Polish, harcerz, we call it harcerz. Polish scout. I was a patriot, and everything changed after my meeting with my mother, who told me the story of my family, that my aunt that lives in Minsk, Belarus now, she's an old lady now, and she is not real my aunt. And I heard the story that she was a Jewish child saved by my grandmother.
Oh my God.
And yes, and after I find out, I ask why they didn't tell nobody, because there was a climate of not telling. I said, why? Because they're heroes, not so much. And I started digging and reading biographies of Jews who were saved by Poles. And I found out if they die, mostly because some other Poles reported them to the Gestapo or to the Germans. And I couldn't believe that not all the Polish people used to be like Pilecki hero or other guys, but a lot of were scam, complete scam. And I hate nationalism and patriotism since then, because I started reading stories of Jews who survived and they escaped from Poland and they got caught by Polish people. They were beaten, they were robbed. I met an Israeli guy who told me he survived Auschwitz. He came back to Aleksandrów-Łódzki, to his apartment, and Poles took over his house. And they told him after the war, he survived Auschwitz. He had numbers from Auschwitz. They told him that they will kill him if he will come back to his own house. So,
oh my gosh.
After that, it was a shock for me. And I started reading history from the outside point of view, understand? From like point of view of foreigner. I stopped reading Polish books and I understood how we are dragged by nations, by schools, by politicians into tribal mentality, that we have to support something, defend something, doesn't matter. We don't think why, we just support someone or something. We believe in lies that are told to us. We believe in everything that just make us feel better. But truth is dying. The real truth is dying in that kind of environment. And I wrote basically, among other things, in this book about this tribal mentality. I think people will hate me for this. Some people for sure will hate me for this, but I had to write it because it changed me, this thinking, changed me, how I perceive nation where I live, how I understand patriotism, what is real patriotism. It's paying taxes, it's cleaning after yourself, it's being courageous, it's helping others.
Good to your neighbor.
Yeah, it's not screaming with the flag, I kill Ukrainians or Germans, whatever, you understand? So I started to think differently, and it made me wanna know more. And I understood that the reason of hatred is ignorance. Absolutely. So my podcast was supposed to change it. It was supposed to be like the blow of enlightenment for people. That's why I made about Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, people from the Enlightenment times. You were so lucky. America was so lucky that founding fathers were like this, that they were Masons, that they were Freemasons, that there were people who perceive religion in different way. Like, for instance, the Bible of Thomas Jefferson. I don't know if you heard about the Bible, Thomas Jefferson Bible.
No, I have to read
the Bible. He basically left all the morals from the Christian world and erased all the stories about miracles, you know, these stories, he called it fairy tales. So he left like the simple morals and the teachings of love, to love one another, like the Christ teach us. And I like it. That's why I love the Thomas Jefferson. I love the Benjamin Franklin, the self-made man, the guy, oh, my hero, the guy who was young, working in the printing factory. Yeah, he was a printer in his brother place. He was beaten by this brother for not working, for stealing books. And he was 10, he was stealing books, he was writing, he was educating himself by himself. It's crazy, man. Inventor, the guy. I read his biography. It's amazing. I like even that he's how you call it, chwali się po angielsku?
Oh, he's boasting about something.
He's boasting, but it's funny because you feel it.
Yeah. No, it's all good with that. I mean, he was so brilliant, right? He was like a Leonardo da Vinci of his time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's funny because yesterday or the other day we were watching a game show with my husband, and something came up about Benjamin Franklin, and guess who I thought of? You. I was like, oh, Radek talks about, he's like his biggest fan, and so am I. I mean, first of all,
the Junto Club, you call it Junto.
Oh, I love that club idea. That
mastermind group.
Just did the mastermind, yeah. Yes. And how relevant is this to now? And that you reintroduce this, it's brilliant. And so, Radek, please promise me that you're gonna, I hope you have that plan, that you're gonna translate your book into not just English, but many, many languages.
Maybe you will be my publisher, representative in States, who knows?
I will, yeah. I mean, I could totally, help with that if you'd like, with translating whatever. I mean, I'm sure you can find somebody professional who does it for a living.
Cheaper in Poland, for sure.
But no, I will do anything for free that I can to help you. I mean, honestly, I think it needs to be, if you want it to be on Amazon.
It doesn't have to be.
I don't know how you feel about Amazon.
You can split the business. It's business. Come on.
It's business, but your book needs to be out there to reach as many people as possible. And my idea about the play, by the way, and this is just I wanted that idea, those ideas to be out in the world. This is the biggest thing that I wanted to be out. And I'm going to be sending it out probably to like directors at high school, drama departments, because I want the young people to understand what's going on, because the youth, this is what our world right now is doing to the young people. I mean, this is the world they're growing into. My grandkids are growing in this world. What is the future? I mean, not just for us, but, it's so, I mean, so anything, your ideas are so revolutionary and wonderful. You need to get it out there. And I'm serious. This is not, just fluffing it up. I'm saying that it needs to be out there. So
you told me that my podcast is like a fresh air for Polish podcasting. I tell you why I'm doing this podcast and how I'm doing this podcast. I'm doing this podcast, how you call it, from your gut, yes? Something that you feel that the subject,
you have to get it out.
Exactly. There is a subject that I would love to listen in English podcasting. When I started podcasting, I couldn't find Polish podcast that I loved. I loved Tim Ferriss podcast, and I loved the Minimalist podcast, and I loved the conversation they made. And I had, why I couldn't find the podcast? They were mostly technological stuff. I didn't like to listen in Polish language. And I decided I will make podcasts like this. I will make a subject that I love. If I will learn something about 𝒾𝓉𝓁, as an example, from the Benjamin Franklin mastermind group, from his local Philadelphia bar or something, and I will study about it. I will translate some articles from English from American sources, and I will show it to the Polish audience in Polish language, in plain language, in my podcast. That's how I will remember, I will learn, and I will pass to other people. And that's how I'm doing my podcast. It's simple. Now I'm preparing podcasts about the Emperor Claudius. I don't know if you saw the movie, 𝐾laudius, 𝑀𝒾𝓇𝑒, 𝐾laudius.
Is this an
Robert Graves? Robert Graves is the writer. He's the best classical writer from Great Britain. He wrote about Messalina, Claudius, all these emperors.
When did this movie come out?
He was after Caligula and before Nero.
Well, I saw Caligula. I saw
Claudius was the emperor who conquered Britain.
Oh, okay. Well, I'd love to see it. If it's available anywhere, I want to see it.
He was handicapped and perceived as idiot. That's why he survived. Because for generations, he was one member of the emperor's family. And he was destined to be one of the emperors after he will grow up, yes?
Right.
And the guys who were plotted against him killed others, mothers especially, Messalina, Agrippina, they were killing, so their son, first Caligula became emperor, then Nero became emperor after Claudius, but Tiberius became, because of Livia, the wife of Octavian August, she killed and she poisoned basically other guys. So her closest son, for instance, Tiberius, became an emperor. He was not supposed to be emperor. He was because her mother poisoned other candidate. And Claudius was almost poisoned, but he wasn't. You know why? Because he was stuttering. Yeah, you call it in English, stuttering. Jąkać się.
Oh, stuttering. Yeah.
Stuttering.
Yeah, right.
He was stuttering. He drooling. Okay. Yes, because he had some kind of sickness as a young boy, and everyone called him idiot. But he had a secret. He was not idiot.
Right.
He was spending all the time in the libraries. It was forbidden by Livia, but he was hiding himself with the books, reading. And one day he was found by two wise men in the library. And they said, why are you such a boy reading this book? And they started talking, and he was talking like a philosopher. He was talking like the well-educated person. They were in shock. and they asked him name. They said, I'm Claudius Drusus. And they said to him like this, never, ever show to anyone in your family that you can read, that you know have this knowledge, because it will be your last day. And he never admitted that he was. And after Caligula was killed, the Praetorians thought, oh my God, Senate wants to take over the rule in Rome. What can we do? We need emperor that we can control. Let's take the idiot Claudius. They took idiot Claudius, they made him emperor, and they were so wrong. He executed the killers. He ruled for more than 10 years in Rome. Well, was one of the best emperors. And I'm gonna make a podcast about him.
There you go. I love that. Yes. I'm so glad that you're going on all these tangents and telling us all about that, because yeah, I love when you introduced more and more about Benjamin Franklin and the club and Claudius. I mean,
classics. I like classics.
Yeah, the classics, but they are so relevant, right? When we look at today's world, I mean, they are completely relevant.
Yes.
And so intelligent and so fun to kind of, rediscover, right? And I love how you said that the reason you started the podcast is because you could, oh, it's telling me again, I have 10 minutes.
9 minutes.
Okay, so I just wanted to say that I'm so glad you started your podcast, because I know what you're saying, and your podcast is unique. For that reason is that you are learning through sharing the podcast, and it comes from your heart, from your gut, like you said, everything that you share. And I have to say that when I started mine was in the pandemic. When the pandemic started, I was thinking, I need something. My mom was actually going through a very difficult time. She unfortunately passed away last year. I lost her.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. What I wanted to say is I needed something to help me get through a difficult time and also this pandemic, but I wanted to help my friends and other people, business owners, small business owners that I know, like, that do staging or do other things. That were, everyone was in this boat together. We were all together, no matter what area of business or expertise or whatever. And I invited them, to share stuff, and they agreed. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep going. And I thought, mine is a little bit different too, because it's combining real estate with life, right? And I talk about these Food for Thought Sundays is exactly doing what you're doing, kind of like learning stuff. I already know some stuff, but learning things, and sharing what I'm learning with passion, right? And
there are people who look for something like this. There are people who look for something like this.
But guess who brought me to you, basically, is my mom. You know how? Is because I'm going to tell you how I found you. Unfortunately, when she passed away, I was doing a memorial service for her, and I was looking for very special things for her, some music, and I wanted a special brief sheet music from a movie that she loved, the book called Trendovata, which is called The Leper. I'm sure you're familiar because it's pretty classic in
𝒟𝓏𝓏 𝒟𝓏𝓏 is the author.
Yes, and it's a beautiful book. My mom had it by her bedside all her life, and it was falling to pieces, which told me how much she loved it, because she took very good care of her things all her life. And so in any case, I have some crazy stories about it, speaking with, I believe in spirituality and spiritual world, right? Even though we talked about religion a little bit briefly offline and things that are not so great. But on the other hand, I'm still very spiritual. And, so there were things that happened with that book that are crazy, amazing. And I'll tell you one day. I don't want to go into it right now, but I want to tell you how I found you is because I was looking for that sheet music from the movie, one of the movies, the one in the 70s. And the composer's name is Kaell. He's very well known.
𝒟𝓃𝓚 is playing Trendovata.
Oh, he is.
Teleshinsky is playing the Count.
Oh my gosh. So you know all about it. Now,
I love the movie. I cried as a boy at the end of the movie when he was looking at the grave.
Do you know, my mom loved it all her life. I never seen it until she passed
I love the movie. You can watch on YouTube.
I saw all three. There is one in the like late, it's black and white, then the 70s, then another one. But the one in the 70s is the best.
Best.
So artistic, the dance, the waltz is amazing.
Costumes.
But, yes. Yeah, but the music, you know, he's very well known. He wrote music for the piano, I think. And so there is a snippet of a piece that's called Melancholy, and it's not the waltz. The waltz is the most popular piece, but that Melancholy piece is unbelievable. And I was digging for it everywhere to try to find, because the piano player or the singer who was putting everything together for me said, you know, Mirella, if you can find it, I will ask her and she will play that for you. So I was like desperate to find it. And I was looking everywhere. And guess what? I did find it. And when I did find it, I send it to her, and she sends me a message, and she goes, Mirella, what is this music? And I go, what do you mean? And she goes, she played it and she cried as she played it because it's so moving. It's so incredible. And I told her the whole story and everything, you know, and she couldn't believe it. But okay, now before I found the music, I found you. Because I was looking for it everywhere. And I was like, oh, I'm going to look on YouTube because, and here's why you should do your stuff. I know you do on YouTube, but you know, you need to show you more. Yeah. But I was just saying, so I landed because my mom was born in Lviv, and I have my mom's families from Lviv. They transferred to Szczecin when, you know what happened with the big power, when they divided up everything. Yes. Right. So they were working, a lot of them worked for the theater, actually. There's my theater thing. My mom, my grandma, her sister, and my grandpa all worked for the theater in Lviv. I'm saying Lviv, it's Lvov, right? And then they moved. So guess what? So when I was looking for this, whose video did I come up on YouTube? It was your video.
From Lvov?
From Lvov. Yeah, when you were showing the city, how beautiful it was, and you were talking.
I was with my Israeli friends.
Yes. Oh my God, I love that video. I hope you do more of this kind of stuff. It's amazing. So
like it, we'll do.
So I was just like, what? And then I started, you know, finding out more about you, stalking you a little bit. And I was like, wait a minute. Oh my God, he has a podcast. What? So I was like all over it. So that's how I found. So my mom kind of brought me to you. And here we are talking today. So I am so grateful.
When was it?
This was last year around July, probably.
So exactly a year ago.
Yes, it's exactly a year ago, and I can't believe it took me this long to reach out and do this. But you know, I wasn't sure how you would receive it either. I was like, oh, here's this lady all of a sudden coming from America, and
it's a lady from America, so.
Right? Yeah. So there you go.
Exciting.
You know,
sounds exciting.
Yeah, I know. And see, here's the thing about. I'm going to tell you one more thing about. We have 2 minutes this time, but we can always redo it again, whatever. But I was just saying that, you know, when you were saying about patriotism and all this good stuff, and I agree with you. And I have a different view of it now, too. And I agree with you 100%, is how do we find the truth? How do we find the real patriotism? And the real patriotism to me is caring about one another, is really caring about on a human level. And I do believe in patriotism in terms of, like, you know, I love America. I mean, I'm Polish American, you know, I grew up here, and I love the values and the things that the founding fathers had in mind when they created this incredible country and this incredible concept, right? So I love that about America. And I love there is so much good in America and about America. And I think it's still the best concept in the world. So I am very passionate about that. But I agree with you 100% that it's been skewed It's been manipulated. It's been distorted, and it's wrong. It's what they're doing. It's wrong. I don't care what country, and it's shameful what happened, what you just said, and it's true. And I know about all this bad stuff that happened. And, you know, Polish people are like Americans, like anyone, right? There are different kinds of people. They're not all one kind of people. I don't want to.
Ale mam znowu się połączyć?
Aha, już nazwy that's right. Yes. Yeah, let's do it again. Okay. I'll see you in a minute. I'll see you in a minute.
Muszę się zalogować.
Tak, ale wiesz co, daj mi chwilę, because I have to convert, it converts, so it doesn't let me get in. It has to be converted.
Dobra, to ja będę na balkonie.
Give me like 2 minutes. Okay, and we're going on again. So, Radku, I wanted to, first of all, I'm so grateful that I found you and we were able to connect. That's so awesome. And I wanted to hear about your new projects or what you're planning to do in the near future.
Basically, lately, I told you about the book, but usually I'm focusing, except creating podcasts for LepiejTeraz and po o pieniądzach. I do public speaking for schools, high schools and universities, promoting podcasting and advantages of not only listening to podcasts, but also making your own podcast. I did some speech for Książnica Podlaska. It's like the library, central library in our region, for 50 librarians from the regional, local libraries. They were amazed by podcasts. I told them about advantages of listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks, why it's better than books in some cases not. And I teach people how to start their own podcasts, companies and people. So if someone is interested, I can do this online, or I can do this live. We can meet, and I'm showing. I had few clients already for this, so I'm doing this one-on-one. I have also online course, Podcaster, called Podcaster. You can find on my website, in the store. And I have
you can help anyone in the world, because it's all online and you speak English.
Yes, I can make in English. You're right. Maybe I will translate my courses soon, because I have course about being invincible. It's mental invincibility. So it's like, because I was amazed by the Stoics. And I know the story of James Bond Stockdale, the admiral. You know him. He was the candidate as a vice president with Ross Perot in the 90s.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
You remember him?
I remember the names.
He is the Vietnam War hero. He is the pilot who was in 7 years in Vietnamese captivity. Wow. And he was in charge of the soldiers, the prisoners of war. And he survived just because of Epictetus, the philosopher, the Stoic philosopher, Greek philosopher from the Rome, 2000 years ago. He wrote a book, Enchiridion. And when he was shot down over the North Vietnam, he said, from the world of technology, I'm coming to the world of Epictetus. And he basically used practical knowledge of Epictetus, of Stoics, to survive the ordeal, to survive the 7 years of being tortured, dragged out for the faked executions and terrible things.
So I remember, didn't you talk about this in your last podcast with the guy?
I made a lot of podcasts about him, actually.
With the guys, I think you were bringing up something about that in the last.
Yes, I was the Trevor Rick that was freed. You know Trevor, that was freed a few months ago by the Russians. He was exchanged, actually, after 3 years of prison.
Yeah, there was another person. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, but I brought up also James Stockdale to this story.
Yes.
So James Stockdale were the same ordeal, and he taught a lot of lessons. I'm also mention Stockdale in my book. So my course is about people like this. I wrote I record. Actually, the course is audio and in PDF files. So I record files about Musashi Miyamoto and his rules. Musashi
Oh,
Miyamoto was
yes.
famous sportsman,
Yes.
samurai from the 17th century. He wrote 21 rules of Dokkodo, 21 rules of life. And I teach this in my course. I will add some new lessons about Thomas Jefferson and his rules, because he had some rules for life. He wrote for, I think he written for his daughter, one of his daughters, or granddaughters, I don't remember, but you could find that kind of lessons from Thomas Jefferson. And basically Stoicism. It's about Stoic exercises, because my opinion, Stoicism is the most practical philosophy you can find, because you can use it immediately in your daily life. And especially in difficult situations in your life. Obstacles. Obstacle is the way, like Ryan Holiday wrote, the famous writer from California, now Texas, because he moved to Texas. And Ryan Holiday, the author of Daily
moving to Texas
because of taxes. Because of taxes.
A lot of people are.
Yeah, but the rent is high in Austin, I heard. It's the highest, one of the highest, so it's not so much. I follow what is going on in the States.
I know. Wow, you are in the know, my friend. Definitely.
I watch NBC online, you know, you can watch live NBC or ABC online on YouTube. So live.
There you go.
Same time Americans do.
You know what we have. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you're looking for some information, I'm not sticking to TV. When I want to know something about your commission from the Congress, so I switch on TV and I know what's going on in your Congress.
Yeah, very good. Well, you also speak English, which is great.
I think it's because I listen to YouTube and I read a lot of books, because I've never been to States. Basically, I never learned English at school, maybe 1 year, but it was terrible. So I learned by myself, subscribing Time and Newsweek during the, like 25 years ago when I was a young boy. I subscribed paper.
You did? I did too. And I was, oh my God, that's so funny.
And I was translating articles, translating with the dictionary, because there was no Google Translate at the time.
Well, I already spoke English when I came to America, but I subscribed to Time and Newsweek too. And I was reading it all the time, because this was the I just love the free information, right? The free
color with photographs.
Oh my God, because I grew up under the, you know what? So when I was like, oh my God, why did, you know, listening to Radio Free Europe and stuff like that. And we had to listen like cover.
Voice of America.
Yeah, Voice of America. Yes. So I was like, I loved it. And I'm like, I want, you know, the most like the best source of information that I think is going to be, fair and whatever. So I was like, yeah, Time and Newsweek. So I was doing the same thing, but I spoke English already. But God bless you, my gosh, you basically are self-taught.
Yes, I love it, because I like watching movies with subtitles, and my way of learning is watching with the English subtitles, not Polish. You have to know how they pronounce the words. That's how you learn.
Good. Yes. Yeah. Oh my God.
This is the best idea to learn. Best way to learn.
And nowadays you can do it just about on anything. You can turn on the subtitle.
Netflix. Yeah.
I know. Even though I obviously speak English and everything, I still do subtitles sometimes. I just like to have it. Because sometimes in dialogue, people don't speak very clearly, whatever it is, and I'm obsessed with words and whatever, just I need to know. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, oh my gosh, there's so much fascinating stuff about you that I found out today, and this is partly why, I like to hear from you. I like to hear directly from you, and I found out so many great things, and you are just incredible. I'm so glad that you got to share this with me today, and I know my listeners will love it, and I have to have you back soon. because I want to know all about the projects, right? Because I'm so sorry I have to go soon because it's like 11 o'clock and I need to.
I have to go also with my dog because he's looking
I
at
know
me.
he needs to go for a walk.
Yeah.
Like he's like, who is this lady keeping my pun away from me? Can we see him? Maybe he can come up and.
I will call him. Moment. I will take the camera.
Oh yeah. Okay. I want to say hi to him. Okay. Yeah, we'll say hi to Lucky. Oh my God, he's so beautiful. Hi, Lucky. How are you? Co robisz? Idziesz na spacerek z panem? Oh my God, he's so
cute. He's curious.
His head.
Look, you see his head?
Hi,
he's curious.
You are so cute. Oh my goodness. Hi. How are you? Oh, you make Radek happy, huh? You are a good boy. Yes. Oh, what a sweetheart. Oh, such a sweet.
Okay, so I gotta go also.
Musisz go wziąć na spacer. You have to take him for a walk, right?
Long walks. It's husky. It's long walks. 10 kilometers.
Wonderful. Yeah. You know, my my stepson they have a husky mix. Her name is Pepper because he's a chef. So her name is Pepper and she's white and gray. She's white and gray like that. But
I love all dogs. Doesn't matter the race.
Oh, I know.
I'm not racist, dog.
Well, we have our dog and cat are on the rainbow bridge, we call it, right? They went to heaven. But we had them, the cat for like 14 years and the dog for 12. So they gave us a lot of joy and I do miss them. But, you know, I kind of channel it through other people's dogs and cats and whatever. And I love Lucky and how devoted you are to him. Definitely. So
he's my whole life. He's my love. He's my love.
The love of your life.
I never felt such a love to a human being like I have for him.
Oh, really? They are amazing because
it's disturbing for some people to listen to this.
They're pure. No, their love is pure. And it's, you know what I love the most about them is they're in the moment. Like they never think of the next moment because unless you have a treat in your pocket, but you know what I mean? But no, but they are so in the moment. And I miss that so much because she used to calm me down so much. I would just go and sit on a bench and she would know that we would go there and lie down and watch people. And it was like our thing to do. And we didn't need to do anything else. And that's when I did my mindfulness meditation, is when I sat down with her. And so, but she's, you know, somewhere out there. So I want to
no time travel with them. Time travel makes people anxious because we go back in time, or we think about the future, we worry, or we cannot forget about some stuff. But
it's really all that matters is now.
You're in time, exactly what you said. We are in time, in the moment, mindful, and it's important. And he makes me less anxious. Without him, he's my best psychologist, therapist.
Absolutely, he is. Yes, I agree. So Radek, can you leave us with some words of wisdom or whatever you'd like to throw out there? And please promise me that you will come back again and you will do this again with us. I would love that. And of course, I want to be in touch with you and see how you're doing, what you're doing and everything. And so I want to hear a few words maybe that you want to close out with, but I want to stay offline for a second. I want to talk to you for a second, a little bit more, but.
Listen, I think one thing that I want to pass to other people through my podcast is the questioning, to question everything, every thought, every idea that comes to our mind, and be especially careful with the things that make us too excited, because it means that we are become slaves to emotions. And emotions sometimes can drag us to different parts of reality and not necessarily good. And emotions are, how you call it, selfish. usually selfish. So questioning, thinking. I'm not perfect. I'm the guy who's nervous, anxious, nervous during driving. I shout on other drivers. Yes, I'm the guy like that. I'm not perfect. I'm all the time have to remind myself that I need to think first, then act. And all of us need this. I don't think I'm the monk, because you need to remind yourself, it's like with taking a shower. It's not enough to take a shower one time. You have to do it every day. So the best thing is to be calm, write some sentences of wisdom for one day, and try to live with these sentences of wisdom. And you can find a lot in Stoic philosophy, a lot of this wisdom.
I love that. That's great. I think, yes, I agree. And you're absolutely right. We need to think about it every day. And and emotions, we are clouded by emotions because
we are clouded by emotions.
No matter what we think, it's actually emotion first that comes to our brain, and then it goes over here in the cortex where it gets processed. So that's our best defense, right? Is to know that and say, wait a minute, Yeah, exactly. I love it. Okay, well, let me close out, even though it's so hard to close out because it's so fascinating. I could go on and I just keep talking to you. So we're gonna have to do it again, okay?
My pleasure.
Yes. So let me stop the recording. Have a great day and a great walk, by the way, with Lucky. Thank you for showing him to us too. And best to you and everything. And I will see you soon again, and we'll hear you again, okay? Alrighty.
Okay.